Hey everybody, Roxabox90 here with more Magic Origin spoilers. We got a whole bunch of stuff today to go through. The main point I'm going to focus on are the mechanics because a lot of the cards are commons. But let's jump first in with the official confirmation by Blake Rasmussen that no, Serum Visions is not going to be Magic Origins. A lot of people are upset about this because today they mentioned in the Evergreen article by Mark Rosewater, which I suggest you read, he goes through all of the keywords and then he discusses the origin keywords and what's going to happen with some of the design for these cards. The main point to get from the article was that there's going to be 3 evergreen mechanics, meaning they could appear in any set in any way going forward. They are Menace, which reads as a replacement for Intimidate. A creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. That's it. That's Menace. And it's going to replace Intimidate going forward. Prowess is now going to be a universal evergreen mechanic that can appear anytime. And the last one is Scry. Scry is going to be an evergreen, which kind of makes sense because it seems silly. Such a awesome mechanic that everybody loves. The fact that they would limit it seems dumb, especially because it only helps the game further. It helps with card draw and so on. So I like that a lot. What is weird though is that they're making this an evergreen keyword, and yet this set doesn't have origins on. It doesn't have Serum Visions in it, which is pretty much the main Scry card that everyone in this world who plays Magic wants. So that is the 3rd or 4th opportunity Wizards had to print in the last year or so, year and a half. Kind of surprised the Wizards didn't take the advantage. It would definitely, of course, that would be open like crazy. Definitely be a huge surge helping Modern. I'm very surprised they didn't put it in the set. Kind of wondering why. Hopefully they come out and explain a bit more about why they haven't included it. In terms of the cards that were in this article, we have this card, Bogart Brute, 3 for a 3/2 with Menace, which seems pretty decent in Limited. I mean, that most of the time means that he's going to be difficult to block, especially early game. Very good for aggressive style decks. Prowess, Jesse and Thief, 3 for a 1/3 Prowess. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I think we've seen the same card or a similar card before. It's a fine card. It's definitely fun for combat tricks, and if they don't block it because it's a 1/3, then you draw a card, and it also makes them nervous about blocking it because of the Prowess effect. Seems very solid for an uncommon. And why is my computer freezing? Here we go. Lightning Javelin is not that great. Unless the removal is really bad in the set, this is going to be one of the worst red removal spells. I hope they don't go along with this theme that they had in the past with Scry, where they make a card overcosted simply because it has Scry latched onto it. I hope that's not what they're doing with it just because Scry's in the set. I recommend you read the article though and get a sense. It's very cool history, very cool stuff. And and the last thing I think they mentioned as well is that protection is going to be deciduous. It's only going to be appearing infrequently, very infrequently, because of the mechanic itself is very powerful, and it hasn't really... He explains a bit about it. The main point is it's not exactly the most interactive mechanic out there, and yeah, he gives... It's being downgraded in that they're not going to have it a lot. Landwalk is being removed, Intimidate is being removed. Landwalk is pretty much just... I can see why. It's similar to Intimidate. It's very limited. It either has no impact on the game or a lot of impact on the game. Can see why they got rid of that. The Mythic we have here, Avaricious Dragon, is 4 for 4/4 flying. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. At the beginning of your end step, you discard your hand. Now, this is surprising to me at Mythic because we just had Thunderbreak Region being printed at Rare, and that is much, much, much better than this card. Very surprised that it's at Mythic. It's really... 4 for a 4/4 dragon has been the curve range they've been working with for rare dragons for quite a while. I'm very surprised they would put a Mythic spot for a card like this. Now, its design's not terrible. It definitely could fit a top curve for very aggressive red decks. It's nice in that once you dump your hand on the field, you get an additional card drawn every turn. You can definitely play it, and you just push through that extra bit that you need. A 4/4 flyer for 4 is very reasonable. The art is also pretty sweet. At Mythic, very surprised. It's not even that crazy and limited. I think, honestly, that was a mistake. But it's a fine card, decent card. And then we also have these commons. In fact, I'm not going to go through them all. I mean, they're pretty generic. You guys can skim them. The one interesting one I noticed, Valor of Acro, seems really neat. being able to use really manipulate tokens, it definitely seems like an abusive way to pump up your token armies for very reasonable cost. Definitely an EDH staple right there at uncommon. It's very cool. And this is probably the best art in this pack of cards. It looks amazing. The portcullis is superfluous is also just really great flavor text. And that was it. I mean, most of these seemed okay. I mean, this one's going to be a powerhouse limited card, 4 for a 2/2 that has an unsummon effect on it. Those are usually pretty good. I kind of wish it had some flying. We've seen that before, flying mist raven or whatever. And everything else was kind of generic, I guess, kind of whatever. Reeve Soul reminded me a bit of Smother. Not horrible. Anyway, you guys can read through this on your own. I'm going to be dealing with them in the larger limited review. And Infernal Scarring, yeah, just, I don't know why I pulled that up, to be honest. Last up, we had the blue Spellskite, pretty much like he's saying here. It's 3 for a 1/4 flash. When it comes in the battlefield, you change the target spell ability to it. Not as good as Spellskite, obviously, for a billion reasons, but it seems very fun for Commander. Definitely an interesting card, being able to flash in and take a removal spell, or flash in and just have an effect redirected to it. Seems pretty nice, especially at an uncommon. This is some kind of weird promo. This is Chinese. Interesting to see. The artist looks amazing. Interesting to see how actually useful it is, but I think in Commander at least it'll be a lot of fun. So those are the spoilers and discussion for today. Let me know what you guys think about the keyword changes specifically down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, then please tap the like button. If you're new to the channel, then check in and subscribe. As always, Roxabox90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.